Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unmasking, a podcast about coming home to yourself. I'm your host, Cindy Payne, therapist, storyteller, and fellow human navigating the messy, beautiful work of growth and healing. Here at Unmasking, we explore what it means to unmask, to peel back the layers of roles, expectations, and old narratives, and reconnect with who we are at our core. Through honest conversations, solo reflections, and the lens of self-trust, we'll hold space for the stories that shape us and the parts of ourselves that we're learning to reclaim. This is a place for strong backs, soft fronts, and wild hearts. Let's get into it. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Unmasking with Cindy and Sarah. Today's episode is a really special one for a couple of reasons. Sarah's here. First, we are celebrating our belated 1-year podcast anniversary. Can you believe, first of all, that it's been a year since we started this thing? Time. Yes. Yes, it did go really fast. We've had so many conversations this past year, so many stories, connected with so many of you along the way. And now we're stepping into a new chapter. So that's the second thing. This is going to be my final, I guess I shouldn't say final, because Sarah is going to come back for some pop culture talks and yeah.
I'll be a little guest, but it's just a tough season for me.
It is. Sarah is in a busy, beautiful, but also very demanding season of parenting. And she's making the courageous choice to step back from the mic for a while. And I am going to miss sitting across from her in this space. But also, I'm so proud of you, Sarah, for the way that you're honoring what matters most in your life right now. And I just thought it would be fitting to close this chapter with a conversation about courage.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, I just broke down to you in your office, but a lot has come up that I'm not going to share with everyone because I'm protecting my child and myself and all of those things. But there's just a whole lot on my plate that social media, everybody puts like their best self on there. But underneath all of that, I have a whole lot of things that are going on. And so my focus really needs to be on my daughter right now and navigating that and taking care of her. Because I know putting in all of laying the foundation and advocating for her and what works and what doesn't, will pay off years from now. But right now she just really needs me. So
yes,
I am taking a step back and I'm very sad, but I just, I see clients, I'm a mom, I have a husband who travels, and I'm just getting like pulled too many ways. So
yeah. And you're listening to your body. And I think, these last few episodes that I've done have been talking about having a strong back, but a soft front. And we've really been, narrowing in on what it means to have a strong back, which is to know our boundaries, right? To kind of go, okay, let me try this. Let me adjust. Okay. How does it feel now? Right. And then we just kind of keep making these revisions until it feels right for us so that we can show up with a soft front and be open and vulnerable. And so that is, to me, that is listening to yourself and doing what's most important. So kudos to you.
I mean, I probably wouldn't have done that 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I would have been like, let's just keep going and going and going. But, I definitely, and the whole situation and everything, Cindy, but you even were like, you just need to take a little bit of time. And so that's what I'm going to do, but I'm still going to come on when I can to cheer on Cindy. She's already kind of been like you've already been doing all of the things anyway. So,
Oh, I am also making some changes though. And so I think what I've learned from this past year is really just pace is a big thing for me still, Like
yeah,
I know you and I are similar to like when we have something that we're really passionate about, we tend to go full speed ahead. And so it's not going to be, an every week recording. I'm still playing around with
yeah,
what feels right for me, but I think Sarah, we will get this figured out on how to really practice what we preach and
I know.
listen to our bodies. Like we're going to get it one day.
I mean, or we're just going to be a shell of ourselves. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like,
We're not
it's,
though, because we're
it's,
we're making these changes
I
right
mean,
now.
I know. And it's so, it's just hard because I feel like as a woman in this day and age, there's so much pressure to do it all. And honestly, I can't do it all.
No,
I
I don't
can't.
want to do it all.
I don't either. I don't want to do it all either. I mean, they expect us to have the same responsibilities as a 1950s housewife on top of working, on
Hmm.
top of being emotionally present for your children, which that generation clearly we all know was not.
Nope.
So, I mean, I just feel like there's still so many expectations and so much shame put on women
Yeah.
um, that it's just not attainable. It's just
Mm-mm.
not. And it's kind of gross, like
Yeah.
to think about like how much is put on women still.
Hmm.
Um, and the expectations for that, it's not fair, it's not right. um and what is it teaching our daughters too? Like I want my
Yeah.
daughter to know if she's struggling or having a hard time
Hmm.
to take care of herself.
Yes.
It's like in the airplane, you need to put your oxygen on before you put your child's, and it's like,
Hmm.
but if I'm not actually modeling that for her, because that's what matters, I can tell her that all day, but I have to model that behavior. And
Yes.
I want her to take care of herself and to listen to herself and to not lose sight of who she is. And so I think for me, I was just getting sick. I
Yeah.
was tired. My body was in like a state of like hypervigilance. And
Hmm.
luckily, and Cindy was so sweet to say this to me when I came to talk to her, I told her a little bit about what was going on. And my daughter had a little, she's 6, had a little conversation and shared
Hmm.
some things with me. And the second she shared those things, I looked at her and I said, I'm changing everything and I'm going to be
Yeah.
home to help you. Um, so I was thankful she felt safe enough to share that with me of what was going on and what she needed as well. So
Hmm.
I'm proud of her because I did not do that as a child. I did not,
Yeah.
because I didn't want to upset anybody.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I think
So
that's huge. I mean, I think sometimes as moms too, and especially if we've got, family trauma history, and then we have kids who are neurodivergent, there seems to be sometimes this, or for me anyway, this question of, am I really moving the needle? Am I really breaking cycles? Because sometimes I don't really see that, right? But I think sometimes it happens in those really small moments where maybe in the moment we're feeling so overwhelmed and so down on ourselves and like, oh my gosh, like here's just this generational trauma continuing and all of that. But if you really look at it, the fact that your children or your child has the words and the desire and the safety to come have that conversation, like you said, that's not something that we would have done as children
yeah.
because we were pleasing or we were too fearful, or there was shame involved, and so that is something that she will not know with the relationship with you.
Well, thank you for saying that. I hope so because I don't know if you're like this, but I watch like the little kid shows and we watched K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so good, by the way. The album is like insane. I listen to it even without my child. But it's about trauma. There's like themes about trauma with these girls, right? And
Yeah.
the main girl, Rumi, is raised by her mom's like best friend who was also a hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a part where she confronts her because Rumi's half demon, half human. And she says, why can't you just love? Because she's like, you need to hold it in. You need to be like perfect, like hold in who you are and like your
Mm.
feelings and don't let anyone see. We can fix this. We can make it where no one can know that. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, why can't you just love me for who I am? And I just think,
Ah,
I just want my child to feel like I love you for who you are, exactly who you
yes.
are. And I think as moms, there's just still that shame that's put
Mm-hmm.
up for us of like having to make everything be perfect. And
Yeah.
that's just so exhausting.
No, it is. It is. And honestly, Sarah, I was thinking about the why for this podcast, and the beginning of this started because of this very thing. We have these neurodivergent children who require and deserve a different way. And I think originally in my mind, I was thinking it was going to be all child focused and all
Mm-hmm.
kid focused. But what's been so interesting about this last year is just kind of starting to stick a toe in the water of these areas where it's really more focused on us
Mm-hmm.
and our stuff and undoing some of that stuff and, advocating for us as moms first,
Mm-hmm.
and not just moms, but women.
Yes.
Right? So that we can get to that other stuff. But I can't get to the kids stuff until I can look at some of this other stuff.
I know. It's just so much. And I don't think, unless you're living in it day in and day out with a and you have a neurodivergent child,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's all it like it's the last thing on my mind is laundry. You know what I mean? Like I'm just trying to get from point A to point B every single day.
Yeah.
Um and I don't, when you have children like that, a lot of times they can be seen as a behavior problem or have negative self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
They hear so many more, like 20,000 more negative messages than normal kids, and they're almost like trying to break them, like break
Yeah.
these kids. And I refuse to let that happen to my child. Like I don't want her little light to go out. And as much as like the world wants these innovative kids who speak up, they don't. In the classroom, they want you to just sit there quietly. And
Mm-hmm.
private schools don't have to meet the needs of your child, or certain private schools are only for certain kinds of children. So that doesn't work. And then
Yeah.
in public school, they have to meet needs. However, the DSM-5 does a terrible job, in my opinion,
Ugh.
of diagnosing what diagnoses are and like what,
Mm-hmm.
like the way that we see ADHD or the way that we see autism and taking Asperger's out and all these other things. I don't think they really have the full scope of what the spectrum is or what, for any of it,
Yeah.
because girls and boys present very, very different. And it's so hard as the parent advocating when you know your child is struggling, but because of a book that says they have to meet this criteria,
Mm-hmm.
but that criteria is for like a boy
Mm-hmm.
that is hyperactive and maybe doesn't present the same way, your child gets missed, or they get put in a box of like, this is, this child is ODD, or this child is bad, or this child is this. And it's so exhausting as a mother because you just want your children to feel safe and good about themselves,
Yeah.
because these are amazing, good children.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of people think, I don't know, I'm just going off on this right now just because it's a lot, but
Go off, friend.
the advocating for it is so exhausting because
Yes.
you're constantly having to fight for people to hear you.
Yeah.
And you even tell them what you know, and they just don't listen to moms. People do not listen to the mother. You
Mm-hmm.
need to listen to the mom. We know our child the best.
Mm-hmm.
I know what my child needs. I know what works for my child. Listen to what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Traditional textbooks, the way of punishing children, consequences, all that, that does not work for a neurodivergent child. It does
No.
not work
Nope. Nope.
at all.
It doesn't. And, I've been reflecting back on my experiences with Ethan in school. And I don't think he would mind me sharing a little tidbit about this because we've talked about
Yeah.
ADHD, and he's 20 now, and he has a whole different viewpoint about um, his own brain and how it works differently. But I think one of the biggest things that I notice when I look back, and this makes me sad, but I'm just also grateful that like I had this epiphany when I had it, is that I spent so many years in a relationship with the behaviors and not in a relationship with my child. And I didn't come up with that on my own. I was listening to one of Glennon's podcasts on the We Can Do Hard Things podcast, and her sister's son is neurodivergent. And she was talking about this very thing, that like, make sure that you're not so swept up in having a relationship with the behaviors that you miss the whole, opportunity to
Child.
have a relationship with your child. And I think for me, when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, and I don't feel shame about it because I was doing just what all the quote
Yeah.
experts were telling me to do. But gosh, what a hard thing. What a
Yeah.
hard time to look back and go, ooh, it didn't have to be that way. And I was advocating in
Mm-hmm.
the way that I knew how. I mean, I kept a job in the school district thinking that that would be a form of protection for him. And it was rough. School was rough.
Well, I have known you since Ethan was in third grade, and
Yeah.
it's crazy because your twins were in first grade, and
Mm-hmm.
now they're graduating from high school this year, and my daughter's in first grade, and it's just crazy
So
to
weird.
think how fast it goes. But I remember you were advocating, like even in our grad school program, you were trying to figure things out, asking like our professors,
Yes, I
like
remember.
what does this mean? What does that mean? I mean, you were always asking the questions, and I just think it's been in the past like decade that there's been more awareness
Mm-hmm.
of how to support these kids through social media and things like that. Whereas before, you were kind of just doing it on your own,
Yeah.
and um, that's hard in itself. So give yourself some grace because like you
Yeah.
didn't have support places to go. And I think if I wasn't a child therapist, I wouldn't know half
Mm-hmm.
of what I know to advocate for my child, of what is right and what is wrong, how to support her in a school system, what I think is okay and what's not okay.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm trying to make it where there's not a lot of shame
Mm-hmm.
around her because I think the shame has been very big for our generation.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of shame. I don't know. The 1900s were wild. They were a wild time.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
They
Keep it
were.
in, but don't, it's like,
Sure.
it's crazy. But I just don't want my daughter's little light to go out because she's such a sweet, kind human
Yeah.
and she's incredibly smart, but she does struggle with rejection and she struggles with, feeling threatened when a demand is put on her,
Mhm,
which I know
mhm,
in the UK, they know a lot about PDA. But here in
mhm,
the United States, we're just starting to get into it. And some professionals accept that as a
mhm.
symptom, but others do not, which is like pathological demand avoidance. And so that is where if you say to your child, like, give them a demand, they feel threatened. It's coming from a place of fear and anxiety. So then their response will be a trauma response. So that could be fight, that could be flight, that could be shutting down, that could be pleasing.
Yeah.
So you have to use, like, I know in my home, declarative language takes a
Mhm.
lot of the pressure off. But it's hard because you have to advocate and explain how that works. And a lot of the parenting stuff is also like don't leave your child because you don't want them to think that you don't validate their feelings, which is what I was changed. But for me and my daughter, when she's upset, and I was very much like this as a child too, I just say to her, okay, I'm here when you're ready. Because I want her to know I'm here. But she also wants space, and I want her to be able, it's just so many different layers on top of it. And then her sharing what she needs from me. And luckily, I'm fortunate. I know not everybody is with my husband's job, that I can change my hours and I can, accommodate that with her. And I'm never going to look back and be like, wow, I can't believe I spent so much time with my child,
Right.
I'm never going to be like, man, I wish I had taken on like 80 more clients, but no, getting that time with her and laying with her in bed at night and like having her tell me about her day and like seeing her shine with friends who love her and her big feelings, like that makes me incredibly happy. But I also, if you're a neurodivergent parent, Cindy has 3 kids. I just have 1. I don't know how you guys are doing it, but it's a lot every day. And even if your child is not physically home with you, it's still a worry. Any neurodivergent parent, I don't care, until you on your deathbed, you're going to be worrying about that child.
Yeah.
That will never change.
Yeah.
It just is what it is, because you've had to advocate, and hopefully, I know you and I have talked too, advocating for them lets them see that modeled so that they'll advocate for themselves, because once they're over 18, they have to do that as well. And it's just all of these different things that you just want them. We all just want our children to feel happy and safe and secure. That's it. That's all we want.
Yeah. No, I think that was beautifully said. And to go back to the PDA, the pathological demand avoidance, I remember really clearly when you and I had that conversation the first time, when you brought that to me and you said, hey, there's this thing called pathological demand avoidance. And I was just thinking, oh my God, look at the power of language. Like I remember when we had an oppositional defiant disorder slapped on us really early on, and
I hate that diagnosis. I hate
and
it.
how damaging, and it's interesting. I brought that to Ethan's attention and I said, hey, here's another way of looking at this. Let me read this to you. And I read him pathological demand avoidance, and he looked at me and he was like, yes, that's totally what it is. That is totally what it is. And he was able to share with me from an adult perspective what it was like for him going through school and having that diagnosis, which, by the way, I don't even think it's recognized it through the school system, but whatever. I mean, I don't even want to give it any time, just because I think it's so harmful to these kids who are obviously very intelligent, but they're looked at as, bad kids
As
who
the
have
behavior.
this.
The behavior.
And it's like, oh, look at this trajectory. And if they don't start complying now, look at what's going to happen later on down the road. But we're missing it. We're missing it. It's not because they yes, they do want control, but they want the choice. And more importantly than that, it's when I place a demand, their nervous system responds differently. It just does. It just does.
Because they feel like they've lost that control, and then they're going to feel anxious. They're also, they tend to be perfectionistic children, which I know I've talked about. A perfectionist will shut down if they can't do something perfect. Whereas an achieving child will just continue even if they're going to fail. But typically the perfectionism can go hand in hand. Then you have rejection sensitivity. So they think they can't do it. They feel rejected. It's just a whole shame spiral. It
is. And perfectionism is just a coping skill. It's just saying, like, I am not going to take this risk because it is not safe. So I'm going to just do what I know to do, how I know to do it. And then that has repercussions way down the road, as you and I know. And we're trying to undo that, right? So I look at that now, and I look at how my son is able to thrive in a college setting and, stay sober and continue to reach his goals. And I'm like, what is the common denominator here? Oh, somebody took their foot off of him. Somebody stopped shaming him, So keep going, keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thanks. And, college is so much better for ADHD kids anyway. They can make their schedule. They thrive on a deadline. Like, I'm also one of those. I used to write my papers at 7 a.m. for a 10 a.m. class.
Yeah.
I did. It's just how when the
It just
teacher's like, you
happens.
cannot do this the night before, challenge accepted. Yes, I can. But they just thrive on that because it's just a different way and they can, hyper focus on what they like in their
Yes.
major and what works for them. Whereas in the traditional school setting, I've had to really advocate, and my daughter's school has been wonderful with that, but I've had
Mhm.
to advocate with, you know, she needs the teacher that is empathic, not the rigid teacher,
Yeah.
because the rigid teacher will create power struggles with my child. And a lot of people think ADHD kids need real rigid teachers. And I'm
No.
like, that is the opposite. They need teachers that come down on their level
Mhm.
and understand them and give them leadership opportunities in the classroom. Make sure that they feel heard. Don't shame them in front of their peers. One of the things with my
Yes.
daughter is, if she's having a hard time or big feelings, is take her to the side, not in front of her peers, and shame her,
Mhm.
because that's a hard thing. And she's got huge feelings, which is amazing, because she is the first to go up to anyone that is in pain, hurting, to get help, whatever. She is amazing with that. But it's hard because kids can be mean, and then that rejection comes in. And I just think it's a hard place to be, because I don't think that the school system has really caught up
Yeah.
with how to teach children from a different, that don't just sit there, like from a different way. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all like, take a test, do this, do that. There's so much sitting. I mean, I don't even want to sit all day, and these
Mm-mm.
kids are expected to sit. Although they do get water, we were not allowed water. Remember, like they have like
Yes.
water bottles and snack time. I'm like, I don't remember ever having water unless I passed a water fountain and we were
Same.
offered. I don't think I ever drank water, really.
It's probably part of my aversion to it
I
now. I
mean,
always have to have like a sparkling or something.
I mean, we had like Cokes and
Right.
what was it,
Wrapped in a
like
foil.
High
Wrapped.
C, Sunny D,
Yeah.
apple juice. It's like everything but water. And I'm
Everything
like,
but water.
my child, it's like all make sure they have their water bottle. I mean, it's just crazy to me but luckily they get water in class.
Yes.
I just think back, I'm like, how did we do that as kids?
I don't know.
I mean,
God.
I don't get it.
And here we are.
Here we are.
So I want to recap this strong back, soft front, and then talk about the wild heart part with you for just a second. The strong back is really standing firm and knowing when to say yes, and then also knowing when to step back. And so I think that's such a huge piece. If we don't get that, we can't have a soft front. We can't be honest and tender about what's needed right now. But finally, the wild heart piece to me is like trusting the next chapter, even when it's uncertain. And I think this has been the hardest part for me, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of uncertainty in the future. And I know for you, like, you're a planner and you want to understand how things are going to go. So what does that mean to you, Sarah, to trust the next chapter even when it's uncertain?
What's funny? Because my own therapist the other day was like, we need to focus on the here and now and not so much, catastrophizing what we don't have control over. But again, for me,
Yeah.
I almost feel like my anxiety is a coping skill. Like,
Yeah.
if I can play out every single scenario in my head,
Mm-hmm,
then I don't
mm-hmm.
have to feel surprised. And then I'm not let down, if something crazy happens. I don't know. It's very odd. But for me, I don't think I'll ever get to a place where I'm not concerned with what could happen in the future. But I am trying to take little things a day at a time. So
Yeah.
instead of like thinking, well, if this situation happens in 6 months from now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to be like, okay, we had a good day. Today was a good day. We got a good email. We had a great day. This is working for you.
Yeah.
This is working. I have to take the little wins, I guess. And
Yes.
that's something that is extremely difficult for me. But I'm learning to do that because I want my daughter to do that for herself too, and not be so worried about things that are way out of control. But for
Mm-hmm.
me personally, I'm still going to like lay in my bed at night probably and like think about what's going to happen like 10 years from now.
Of course.
It's not going to change. I don't care how much therapy I have. I am a therapist. I'm probably just going to, sorry. Sorry, I'm gonna have fake conversations in my head that are never gonna happen. All of that is just gonna keep going down. I've been doing it for 42 years. I don't think it's gonna really just shut off. And I didn't even know
No.
people don't have thoughts all the time in their brain. Like, how wonderful for these people.
Oh, can you imagine?
No,
Can you
I have like
imagine?
a one act play. It's like, you know, it is. It's like a one act play up there, you
I'm only
know?
laughing because I too, I can be having monologues with
Oh,
myself.
yeah.
And I'm like, wait a second, hold on a minute. You mean like other people don't do this? And again, I agree
Is
with
it
you.
true though? Are there really people who just like they're just sitting there with nothing happening?
I think it's a small percentage of the population, but
Wow.
I've known some people like that. And I'm almost kind of, I'm almost a little, distrustful. I don't know how I feel about it. It seems a little odd to me,
Like
but
you're literally just sitting there with no thought. It's just you're sitting there and you're fully present and no thoughts are in your brain.
yeah. Like, are you a monk?
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I try. I really do try. But you know what, Sarah? I'm also learning as well and kind of going, okay, I can notice now. I'm a lot better at noticing when I'm gotten far down the path. And then I can bring myself back and kind of
Mhm.
go, okay, that part of me is doing what it was trained to do. That is a protector part of me that and so I have a lot more maybe it's that I have a lot more compassion towards that part of myself that does that
Yeah.
and I'm not like beating myself up for doing it because I just know that that's how my brain has been
It's
wired.
just yeah, it's just going to constantly do that. It's constantly moving and it's constantly I don't know, I feel like assessing for,
Danger.
danger. It's just
Yeah.
how it's like how you live. And again, I think
Yeah.
that has to do with complex trauma on top of like you're already,
Mhm. Mhm.
more predisposed to
Yeah.
have,
Yes.
ADHD or anxiety or all the things. I don't know. I saw this
Sure.
meme and it was like, do people in your family, does anyone in your family have mental illness? And it was like, we all seem to enjoy it. And I was I sent it to my mom. She was like, Sarah, because like my mom is to the point now, like we'll be at like family, we'll be at Christmas, and I bring up like neurodivergence and like the whole thing. It's like ruins it. Like it's like, oh, here comes Sarah with her thing, and I'm like, I'm just saying, everybody needs to look around.
Just
Everybody
spreading
needs to
awareness.
look around. Okay. I am the one that's calling this out. Like, look at us. Okay. This did
Yeah.
not start with me. Now, some of us
Right.
are on the bench, but there's a lot of us playing in the game too.
Yes.
Okay. Like,
Yes. But you know what? I think this is a beautiful segue into where I want to take this to end this is this man on the arena speech. And I remember in graduate school, we had to write a personality paper, which that gave me huge anxiety because I was like, what? I have to tell all my deepest, darkest secrets and why I am the way I am. Like I just went down this rabbit
was
hole.
that family of origin or was that in?
I think it was family of origin.
Oh yeah, that's the one I didn't get a grade on.
Yeah, he didn't put a grade on our papers
That's when
because
we knew we were friends. It was like sometimes I come across someone and I can't put a numerical value on the traumas that they're right. And I remember being like, but what does this mean? And Dr. Barkley was like, you're fine. You have an A in my class. And I
right.
was like, but
But
there's
did I pass?
I need a numerical, I need an A with a plus, please. I need to
Yeah.
know.
I don't do obscure. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah. But I
Yeah, no, you and
remember
I are like, what does this mean? We need to know.
but I wrote this paper where I probably for the first time in my life shared every like the highlights, like the real bad stuff
Mm-hmm.
or what I would claim to be like real traumatic stuff. And I put it all in this paper. And then
The
I
good
thought to
stuff.
myself, the good stuff, the juicy
Yeah.
stuff, right? And at the end of the paper, I remember thinking, oh shit, he's going to read this and like he's going to go to the director and maybe question like, should we have her in our program? Like, is
Then
she
do
is
we need
she
to
okay?
do we need to call and have her and her friend put as room? It's like girl interrupted. What's happening here?
Right. And so what I did to protect myself, and I don't think I realized that I was doing this until way after the fact, but I went and I found Theodore Roosevelt's Man in the Arena speech because I was starting to really get into Brene Brown's work at that time. And she talks about judgment. And she talks about feedback from other people and how if you're also not in the arena, getting your ass kicked and trying things and failing and like being vulnerable, you don't get a say. Like
Yeah.
I don't care about your opinion. It's not that I'm being a mean person, but like it's just me saying like if you're going to sit in the cheap seats and throw daggers at me and insult me for like trying to be vulnerable and trying to figure out this family of origin stuff and trying to
Yeah.
break cycles, then I'm not interested in your feedback.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really appropriate for today, since we're talking about changes and like trying things and going, ooh, that's not working for me. And like, I have to pull back and I have to do that. And I was like, isn't that the
It's
truth?
it is though, listening to yourself and not letting and finding the people who support you in that arena and
Yeah.
who are understanding of it. Um, and as far as the people in the cheap seats, like you just stay up there and talk. That's all you know how to do. Just talk. Just talk.
Stay up there and talk.
Just
Just,
talk. You got nothing
yeah,
better to do. If I am somebody you want to talk about, you need to get a hobby. Okay?
sure.
You know what
A
I
hundred
mean?
percent. A hundred
Like,
percent.
because there's really nothing to say
Yeah.
about. I mean,
Yeah. But I also think I've come to learn too, though, that like any of that going on, any of the chatter or the eye rolling, or if I bring it up in a family function and they're like, oh, not this again, like
mm-hmm,
that is really telling to me about what we don't want to see.
mm-hmm.
Like like criticism is really just, it's stirring something inside that person, so much so maybe that they have to make a comment about it or whatever. And so I'm like, well, you're not in here doing the hard work. You're just throwing out insults and so, or criticisms or
Yeah,
suggestions on how I could be doing it better. If you're in there with me, great. I'll listen. I might not
yeah,
agree, but I'll listen.
yeah. And it takes me because I know we're gonna sign off here in a minute, but it takes me back to like children and child therapy. I just saw this thing about you can tell when you're on an airplane and someone has a child and the child's crying, you can tell the people who were not allowed to cry as a child
Yes.
because they're very upset, they're very uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
they can't handle it. They're looking at these parents like you're terrible, you can't keep your child quiet. And then you have people who are so mad that you're putting children on, like putting screens in front of children. But if you don't want children to look at screens all day, then you need to be accommodating and understand that children have emotions and they're people too.
Yeah.
And they have feelings, and like stop, like they're like you just can't win. Like, okay, so you
Mm-mm.
give them a screen so that they're quiet. Oh, their screen time is ruining their life, ruining everything. You don't, they're a behavior problem. It's like you just can we just can we just all support each other and like
Yeah.
say we're all doing the best that we can?
Just
But it's
show
very
some
much but
compassion.
it just very much
Mm-hmm.
just shows like, you know, it's very telling when somebody is uncomfortable when you acknowledge something, or if
Yeah.
somebody's having a feeling. That's very telling about them, not you, them, and that's their
Mm-hmm.
stuff they need to work out.
Yes.
um but it doesn't make it any easier when you have to deal with people like that. So
No, it
pick
doesn't.
your people wisely.
Yes, I was, in fact, you're reading my mind because I was going to ask you if you had anything that you would recommend to somebody in this next stage, like if they're going through their own reckoning and trying to live more honestly with themselves and trying to show up in uncertainty. It sounds like that's a great piece of
Yeah.
advice. Pick your people wisely.
Pick your
Yeah.
people, listen to yourself.
Yeah.
You know your child best. You know yourself best. Advocate for yourself. If you don't like an answer, go somewhere else. That's something my mom taught me, is like, just because I had a sibling with a lot of medical issues, if she didn't like what someone said, or she just would go to another specialist and say,
Hmm.
okay, this is what we're going to do now. This is what we're going to do here. And so I saw that modeled. So for me, it's like, okay, cool. You can say whatever you want about the one assessment you've done of my child in 2 hours, but I'll go over here and see this person now.
Yeah.
It's just keep fighting and advocating for yourself. And I think that that's what sometimes as women we're made to feel like we need to just be quiet and
Yeah.
not keep doing that. And so I would say find the other people around you that make you feel good and support you, because you need that. And then also just, just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming. I wanted to end by sharing the woman in the arena because I don't love that it's called the man in the arena. And so I did a little Googling and found that there is a female version. So I was going to just read this at the end and then we'll just do a little sign off. So the woman in the arena. It is not the critic who counts, not the one who points out where the strong woman stumbles or how the doer of deeds might have done them better. The credit belongs to the woman who's actually in the arena, whose face is marked by dust and sweat and tears, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, great devotions, who spends herself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if she fails, at least she fails while daring greatly, so that her place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Love it.
Boom.
Boom is right. Boom is right. Drop the mic.
Drop the mic. So Sarah will be joining us in the future for some episodes on pop culture cults.
Oh, cults. I need to do it. I need to get on a cult.
So I will, you will be seeing her
I will.
I'll
try,
future.
Guys. I love
She's
all
gonna
of y'all.
try.
I'm gonna miss
She's gonna
y'all.
try.
But Cindy's got it
I've
handled.
got it. I've got you people. And Sarah, as always, love you muchly. And I know that we are going to just continue to do our thing together. Thanks for coming on with me.
Of course. All right. It's not goodbye. It's just I'll see you guys later.
Yes, I love it. All right. Bye, everybody.
Friends.